Good morning, I'm still Jeremy and I'm here at Shin-Yamaguchi Station in the western part of Honshū in Japan. Today I'm taking a limited express train, a diesel train, called the Super Oki. It runs between here, goes up to the coast and to the city of Tottori. There are 6 of these a day, 3 in each direction, but only 3 of them go all the way to or from Tottori. Mine is the only one of the 6 that stops at every single station on the limited express route. I've really kind of lucked into the true, deepest, biggest Super Oki experience that you can have. The Super Oki, if you take it on its longest trip like I'm doing, takes 5 hours and 25 minutes. It covers 380 kilometers, 236 miles. Barring 2 overnight sleeper trains and the Shinkansens, Super Oki is the longest limited express you can take outside of Hokkaido. And it's a small train, definitely no services aboard, so I gotta go find something to eat for lunch. On March 10th, 1975, the new Sanyo Shinkansen came to Ogori Station in the town of Ogori. In 2003, the station was renamed Shin-Yamaguchi. The Shinkansen lines are in the front of this station. This long concourse takes you to the back and to the normal trains. Looks fun, just as much grass as train track. Now the thing with mine is what I believe is going to happen, and you never know until you actually get down to the platform, but I think my train will be 2 cars. One is reserved, one is non-reserved. I tried to get a reserved seat, but they were sold out for today, so I have to get a non-reserved car, and I want a window seat on a certain, well, I want a seat first of all, but I want a window seat on the left side of the train so I can see the ocean views later when we get to the coast up north. So hopefully I can be one of the first to get on the train because the train starts here, so I don't have to compete with people already sitting in the seats. Okay, that's it. Limited Express Super Oki 1254 bound for Tottori, Track 2. The hotel names of Yamaguchi promise a thrilling pace of life that I'm not really feeling here at the station. On weekends there's an ancient steam train that runs along this part of the line. Today's not a weekend, but this part of the station is really all about that. There's even an old-timey sign with Shin-Yamaguchi's former name on it. That sign, by the way, uses pre-1946 hiragana. This sign looks too modernized like Ogo Hori. Oh, and the kanji and hiragana are both written right to left, even while the English is left to right. If all the diesel fumes and the sweltering summer heat aren't confusing your brain enough already. Alright, here's my Super Oki. This is a Kiha 187 diesel train that entered service in 2001. They're used for 3 limited express services in this part of Japan. Come on, come on. Goodbye Ogohori, Shin-Yamaguchi. 5.5 hours on this gritty old train begin now. The Super Oki service began in 1975, the same day that the Shinkansen line opened. It was just called Oki at first, after the Oki Islands off the north coast of here. The Oki was meant to make it easier for people from the region to access the Shinkansen. Over the years, the number of cars used on the Oki, originally 6, kept being reduced. Green cars, the first-class cars, were removed from most Oki trains in 1982, and then from all of them in 1994. When the Kiha 187 trains, like mine, were introduced in 2001, that's when the Oki was renamed Super Oki, but it was down to 2 cars. first part of the ride is through a wide, flat valley where most of the people in the city of Yamaguchi live. It feels pretty laid back here. Plenty of people, but not really much going on. That's a stadium where Renofa Yamaguchi Football Club plays. They're called a football club, FC, in Japanese, but the sport is called soccer in Japan. Go figure. It's hard to see, but that's a big white fox statue at Yuda Onsen Station, the Super Oki's first stop. We're pulling into Yamaguchi Station itself here. It's officially considered the central JR station for Yamaguchi City, which is the capital of Yamaguchi Prefecture. But out of all such capital stations across Japan, and 46 out of 47 prefectures have one, this one has the fewest passengers, about 1,400 a day boarding here. They must be ashamed of it too. The benches on the platform are built to face away from the trains. Backwards, just like the writing on the old-timey signs.
Attention passengers. If you are a victim of crime or have witnessed a crime on the train, please notify the train crew immediately. In case of emergency.
The main civilization of Yamaguchi City is starting to thin out, and the mighty Chugoku mountain range ahead is looming. And that means tunnels, and stretches where the tunnel of trees and leaves is barely wide enough for the Super Oki. There are a lot of smaller valleys like this one. Some nice looking houses mostly, but it feels pretty cut off from the rest of the world. Except the occasional train rumbling through, but the Super Oki isn't stopping at these local stations. I wonder what life around them is like. In fact, all of us on board are gazing out the window in wonder. Mitani Station opened in 1918 and was at the time the end of the Yamaguchi line. Oddly, for a limited express station, it's only used by about 21 boarding people a day total. We are stopped at Tokusa Station. This is the final station in Yamaguchi Prefecture. There are 3 prefectures on this whole trip, and we're about to enter the longest one for this trip, Shimane. I'm gonna go check out the facilities or whatever's going on between the cars. More hazardous than it sounds. The bathroom was pretty standard for an express train. Even a sink with soap, but no paper towels or dryer. And there's the reserve seat car. The town of Tsuwano reveals itself as a more populated community in the mountains of southwestern Shimane Prefecture. Tsuwano calls itself Little Kyoto in reference to its traditional old streets and buildings. This is where the weekend tourist steam trains from Shin-Yamaguchi end. And Tsuwano is bigger and busier than recent stations on the line, but its population has been steadily falling for 100 years. Once over 23,000, now just under 7,000 people live here. Nichihara Station is used for boarding by an average of 16 people a day. That's the lowest of any station the Super Oki stops at. But it could have been more, maybe. In 1922, it was decided to build a train line between Iwakuni and here. The project seemed haunted from the start. It took almost 40 years to even begin construction, but by the 1960s they did have about half the line, the southern part, built. They started on the second half and even had most of the route graded and ready for rails, but due to costs and projected low earnings, the second half was abandoned altogether. The southern portion is still alive and is no longer JR, but part of the private Nishikigawa Railway, and Nichihara was left hanging. The signs of the zodiac on the platform at Nichihara are a reference to a local observatory and the lack of light pollution here. That other sign points out that nearby Mount Azoji is the highest peak completely within Shimane Prefecture, and the sign promises a pleasant and relaxing hike to the top from here. Crossing the Hikimi River. Right now we're nearing Masuda Station, the one that divides this trip into two geographical halves. Masuda is the end of the Yamaguchi line. From now on we'll continue along the coast on the San-in line. Masuda looks like my kind of place. Old rundown structures, but not exactly ruins. Just big enough to be a viable city and just neglected enough to have a kind of a wistful, ambivalent air about it. 342 passengers a day get on trains at Masuda, but the Super Oki is the only train that stops here and then continues. All other trains either start or end their journey here. The population of Masuda swelled in the 1950s to over 70,000, but has steadily fallen since then to about 45,000 now. I like the slow, dramatic approach to the station. We even got fans standing on rooftops to watch our arrival. Makes it seem like an event. Sorry, I'm still eating. We're at Masuda Station, which is where, right after here, we're going to start seeing, I think, the coast. Actually, look out over the ocean here. This is where we turn from north to the east. Here's the first view of the Sea of Japan. The thing about this line is that it looks so promising on a map, but the view is frequently blocked by trees and bushes. Tantalizing, but you never give up hope that the shrubbery will part and the big blue water will appear. Some of the rocks in the water are just big enough to be named. That's Kura Island out there, the pride of the community. It's not all seas and trees on this part of the line. The tracks also drift inland at times. The line is all single track here as we're approaching Nishi-Hamada Station. The train is going along the Shimoko River. In February 2019, a woman was driving here and saw what looked like a huge fish. She stopped for a closer look and it turned out to be a dead giant squid that had washed up from the deep sea. Giant squid sightings are rare and the incident made national news. Gotsu Station is the halfway point of the Super Oki journey as measured in number of stations. It's the 11th of 22 since leaving Shin-Yamaguchi. Its other claim to fame is that no less than the Emperor and Empress of Japan themselves once rode their imperial train to here in 1971 on their way to a tree planting festival. Maybe that's why the seating area on the platform is a little bit nicer here. If you're interested and can read Japanese, there's an entire book all about the Showa-era emperors' train journeys throughout the 20th century. Gotsu also used to be the start of the JR Sanko line. It ran from here to Hiroshima Prefecture. There were 35 stations, but ridership was so low that some stations recorded an average of 0 passengers a day. JR closed the Sanko line entirely in 2018. We're stopping briefly at Unotsu Station. This area may not look like much. The station only has 29 passengers a day, but a 15-minute walk away is a World Heritage hot spring famous for centuries. It's also the halfway point of the trip time-wise. We stopped briefly at Tagi Station. It's not a regular stop, so the doors aren't open. I guess we're just letting another train by. But this humble little station has one of the best sea views you can get directly from a train platform in Japan. We're arriving in the much larger station Izumo-shi. The city of Izumo has 172,000 people, a number that's held remarkably steady over the decades. Izumo contains Izumo Taisha, Japan's oldest Shinto shrine, which is at least 1,000 years old. The station, Izumo-shi, is the endpoint of one of, I believe, only 2 overnight sleeper trains in Japan, the Sunrise Izumo, between here and Tokyo. There's a second Izumo-shi station right next door for the Ichibata Electric Railway. That little private line runs alongside the north of Lake Shinji, whereas the JR line I'm on goes to the south of it. The next stop is Shinji. Mine isn't the only Super Oki that stops here, 2 others do too, but those others don't go all the way to Tottori. So there. Shinji is an endpoint to the JR Kisuki line, which goes halfway across Honshū southeast to the station of Bingo Ochiai. JR trains curl around the south shore of Lake Shinji. The lake is Japan's 7th biggest and considered one of the nation's most beautiful sights. On the other hand, swimming has been banned in it since 1959 due to pollution. This is the end of Lake Shinji. We're actually curling around to the east shore you can see across the water here, to one of the biggest stops on the whole Super Oki route. Matsue is the main station in the city of Matsue, the capital of Shimane Prefecture. It's the largest city in this whole region of Japan, which is called San-in, like the train line. Matsue has nearly 200,000 people, although the number is slowly going down. Matsue Station is the only one in all of Shimane Prefecture that has a staffed JR ticket buying office inside. We have over an hour and a half to go on the Super Oki, but only 4 more stations until Tottori. The next station is Yasugi, sort of a milestone. It's the last station in Shimane Prefecture for the Super Oki. Yonago is the first station in our final prefecture, Tottori. Yonago is a major station that several lines connect to, and there's plenty of people waiting for this train. Long line here at Yonago station. I think I'm about to lose my commanding of both of these seats. In fact, we are a standing room only car now. The scenery around the mighty Hino River here is that frequent Japanese mixture of loveliness and gargantuan industry. Kurayoshi Station serves the city of Kurayoshi, which I've spent a little time in and which I really like. Kurayoshi has an excellent old town district and a great vibe generally, without all the tourists. The final station before the end is Tottori Daigaku Mae, which means in front of Tottori University, which it is. This station was only opened in 1995. At first JR would run student-only trains during exam times, but those were phased out.
Please watch out.
And that's the last stop before the end. Everything feels different on the actual final leg of a long train trip like this. The only thing to anticipate now is the end. The scenery keeps going by, and there are things to pick out and notice, but you're not really into it in the same way. Tottori is the capital of Tottori Prefecture. The station is served by several different JR Limited Express services. The JR Inbi line meets the San-in line here. Two private railways, the Wakasa Railway and the Chizu Express, operate lines to the south, and both use the JR Inbi line to connect to Tottori. 182,000 people live in this city, and it's a good place to end up in after 5.5 hours on an epic train journey. Okay, here we are in Tottori. We made it. A long ride. That was a long day, but a very fun ride on the Super Oki. Here's my train. It looks like this very train is going to become the Super Matsukaze going back to Yonago, where I just passed through earlier. So it becomes another little express here, limited express. Anyway, that's it for today. So thank you for riding on the Super Oki with me, and I'll see you next time. Watch extended videos plus exclusive travel stories, video diaries, and get other stuff as a paid or free supporter at patreon.com/T1DWanderer. Special thanks this week in random order to Lever Wong, Thomas G. Ritchie, Lars Steenberg, Michael Fedor, Calvin Ferreira, Samantha, Russell Davis, David Richley, Will Phillips, Ray Nichols, Matt Kane, and Darcy Otranto. And thanks for riding the Super Oki with me. Everywhere is worth exploring.